Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Involved Podcast. And today we have a special guest, Lieutenant Chris Pecori from the Venom Unit, Venom 1. And we're going to have a discussion about Venom 1 today. How you doing, Chris?
Doing well, thank you.
So, tell me about Venom program. When did it start? How did you become involved in it?
Okay, so the Venom Response Unit was started in 1998. This is actually, we just finished our 25th year in service. It came about in response to a call in Dade County for a Black Mamba bite. At the time, a young Lieutenant Cruz was on and heard the call go out. There was several agencies, they were out searching for anti-venom. He actually knew somebody that was a keeper who had the anti-venom, was able to secure it and get that person successfully treated. Following that, he was instrumental in gaining support of the fire department and the Board of County Commissioners for Miami-Dade County to fund it and develop the Anti-Venom Bank that we have. It's been around, like I said, this is our 25th year, and we treat not only just regionally, Miami-Dade County, Broward, Palm Beach, Monroe, but we've sent medications throughout the country and even some internationally. So,
Awesome. So, how long as what did it take to become a Venom officer in our department? Is there a special license you have to get or training you have to go through?
yeah, so the license that you need to have is a venomous reptile license, and the Florida Fish and Wildlife issues that. So in order to get that license, they have a requirement that you have to have been handling a venomous reptile for a year, and it's 1,000 hours of handling. So usually the way you secure those hours is you have to find a licensed venomous reptile owner, and it has those snakes. And usually what you end up doing is you'll be cleaning cages and doing what they call husbandry, or just maintaining the health of these species. Yeah, whether it's picking ticks, treating wounds, feeding them, and so forth. And that's how you end up collecting your hours. I got my hours. I was actually at Air Rescue in a training position at the time when the Venom 1 unit was out of there. So I worked with the former Captain Fobb. And I would go into his house and clean his cages for, a couple times a week. And it took about 1.5 years to get my hours. So that's how you end up securing those to get your training.
So we're going to back up for a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and how'd you get involved in this field?
Yeah, it was interesting. So as I said, I was at Air Rescue in a training position on a 40-hour administrative position at the time, and the unit was out of there. So I kind of took an interest with it and seeing these operate. I've practiced as a physician assistant in the emergency room for over 25 years, and out of all my time, I've seen a few bites come through the door. I've never directly been involved in a treatment, and even docs that I've worked with that have been practicing 30, 40 years have never treated a bite. The thing is, it's just a matter of, it would say the couple times I've seen them come in, it would not get placed into one of my rooms. And that's why even people who practiced a long time just don't see it. It's not that common. So I kind of took an interest in it from the medicine standpoint, because it's not many people know what or how to do it. So now, gaining this knowledge, getting on this unit, I treat 2 bites a month. So I've kind of become almost a subject matter expert with it. And we work very closely with the Poison Control Center and the toxicologist there. I'm treating on average 2 bites a month, where I'm usually at bedside or at least in phone consult with them. So it's really gained me a lot of knowledge. And through that, we do trainings where I'll go and I'll teach at the hospitals, and we'll be educating the emergency room staff that's going to receive this patient and do initial treatment, the ICU staff that's going to maintain the care, the pharmacy staff that's going to mix the drugs and help administer, the respiratory staff that's going to be involved in maintaining their airway until that antivenom takes effect. It's really become a nice little niche to be for what I'm doing. So,
Wow. So as far as the anti-venom, I know it's in different places. Where do we currently keep our anti-venom?
So right now, our antivenom is at headquarters in the central area of the county, of Miami-Dade County. So the unit itself has kind of been moved around. As far as our venom officers, our office is down at Station 23, which is in the south end of the county a little bit. But it puts us right on the Palmetto, which allows us to the 826, which allows us to run up and down the middle of the county. The The antivenoms are kept at headquarters, which I have a logistics courier that we work with, which is over by our Union Hall, which is only a few miles from headquarters, which is all within a couple miles of the airport. And the thinking is, wherever I am in the county, if we get a bite, I'm going to head to the central of the county. I'll get the drug, package it, and if I'm going to ship it out, I'll take it to my courier, and they will get it to the airport, which is a few miles away, and get it on a plane to wherever it's got to go, or a courier service to wherever it's got to go, or and myself, we will deliver it in person.
And so we can do it. Is it worldwide, just the United States, or just whoever needs it?
Whoever needs it, and we have shipped internationally. We've shipped products. It's been a while, but we shipped product to Brazil once. I've had products just to Michigan, to the Carolinas, especially with these exotic bites that are hard to get these drugs. So. Out of our pharmacy cache, as I was talking earlier, if you get a king cobra bite, no U.S. manufacturer makes king cobra antivenom. That product, there's no king cobras in the U.S. Now, people own them, but in order to have that product, we have to get it imported, say, from Thailand, Africa, South America, where these snakes exist. That's where those drugs are made.
So as far as the treatment, how do we treat those? Once we get the call and the officer gets a bite, like how do you go about treating that?
Yeah, so when the call comes in, it usually will come in, a lot of times it'll come directly to our phone, because our number, as I said, the program's been around 25 years. It was on a TV show called on Animal Planet called Swamp Wars for 3 years. So the program's gained a lot of notoriety, even internationally, and the phone number is out there. So I'll get calls directly to the unit all the time for consults or for bite management. We'll end up, otherwise it'll come in through our fire alarm office dispatch, and they'll contact us. When we get that call, first thing we're doing is heading towards the Anti-Venom Bank at headquarters, wherever we are. During that time, I'm calling the hospital or medical facility that's requesting. I'm calling the poison control that's in that area to try and discuss with them if they're aware of it and what their knowledge is of the bite and what their recommendations are. And then I'm calling my courier, or if I'm going to deliver it, I'll be just taking it on our own. So.
All right. And is there any limit to where we respond? Like you said, we pretty much ship anywhere. But as far as Dade County Fire Department, what's the limit?
Yeah, it all depends on the severity. We've actually used our helicopter before to get the products, many times to the west coast of Florida, north of us up towards Loxahatchee, St. Lucie County, and those areas. They kind of get where it's going to take us over an hour or two to get there by ground. So a lot of times, even those, we'll go ahead and secure our aircraft to get the product there.
So as far as Dade County itself, more specifically, or in general, what are most poisonous snake bites in the country, in Dade County, and what are those?
Yeah, so our most common bite down here is a cottonmouth or water moccasin, you may know it as. And that's actually only about 6% of the bites in the whole U.S. But just because of the demographic, the territory we are, the environment, that's our most common bite. And I get most of those bites in the northwest Dade, southwest Broward area, kind of where we've developed into the Everglades area. So
makes sense.
And that's where I see most of our bites. We have down here also Eastern Diamondback, which is actually the most lethal venomous snake in the U.S. It's actually 23rd in the world, and that's we actually have 4 venomous snakes in our response area down here that we deal with. So.
All right. So as far as any partnership, do we partnership with anybody? Like you said, Fish and Wildlife Commission and.
Yeah. So we do a lot of mutual training and assistance with the Florida Fish and Wildlife. In addition to the Poison Control Center. So we're very fortunate here in Florida. We have 3 poison control centers. Some states have none. So there's one in Jacksonville, Tampa, and Miami. We constantly are in contact with all of them, and we have a very close relationship, obviously, with our Miami Poison Control Center and Dr. Bernstein, who's our toxicologist that runs that facility. In addition, our zoo Miami, we have a strong relationship. We do a lot of training with them on a regular basis, and we are their source of antivenom for their species that they keep in captivity. So.
And not only do you do venomous calls, we have other calls of interest. We go on ducks in the drain, Cats in a tree,
Yeah.
dog in a canal, maybe too tired to get out of the bank because it's so steep. Like, tell me some about the other calls and type of animals that we run on.
Yeah, we do. And so when we're in service, obviously, our primary responsibility is our Anti-Venom Bank and ensuring that it's up to date and we're able to deliver. When in service, we respond to all the other animal calls. So whether it may be, as you said, a duck in a drain, a cat in an engine, which are some of our more common calls. I mean, we'll do the large animal rescue. So the horse or the cow that's fallen into a ditch, we'll assist our TRT units and our local veterinarians with those. In addition to, you name it, birds of prey that have, in the wintertime, I'll get a lot of these birds of prey that'll fly into the high rises and get injured, to, domestic animals that have been injured or trapped and so forth. And just even our non-venomous snake in someone's home, that we need to kind of assist in removing.
All right. So, how does one on the department become a venom officer if that was something that they're interested in?
Yeah, so right now we are staffed AVC shift on all 3 shifts. I have a captain on the B shift and 2 lieutenants, each on A and C shift. So in order to be eligible, one, you need to be a captain or a lieutenant for the department, and you need to have your venomous reptile license and your paramedic license. So to get your venomous reptile license, as I said, it's through the FWC. It's 1,000 hours of handling and a year worth of handling snakes, just that you're comfortable with it. The reason that requirement's there is because we are tasked with, removing venomous snakes from our urban populations. So if I go to a call where there's a eastern diamondback and it's in a schoolyard or in a very urban area, I'm going to secure that animal and relocate it out to an area where it's not going to inflict or conflict with, our population or domestic pets, cats, dogs, or so forth, which would be at risk for that animal.
Is there anything that you do, like maybe a dog or a cat gets bit by a snake? Do we treat those, or is that something you come across?
So we do. I get calls a lot from veterinary facilities, and we try and assist them with anti-venom, securing it. There is a few products that are directly made for animals.
Oh, really? Didn't know that.
Yeah, and we do have some in stock. So.
And how many different types of anti-venom do we carry?
So we've got about 16 different anti-venoms. So the way we stock the anti-venom is we look at, and we've taken data from Poison Control Center, and I've got it back to 1977. So, because you think about it, the U.S. Venomous species are easy. There's 3 products that cover every one of the U.S. venomous snakes. But when you get into exotics, I mean, there's 3,000 snakes in the world. There's 600 venomous snakes. How do you stock anti-venom and do it, fiscally responsible? So we look at Poison Control Center data, and I've got it back to 1977. So I've looked at all the bites that have been recorded in the U.S. that are exotic snakes. So now I put it on a graph, and we look at that, and we see how many of each. Now we start breaking it down to antivenoms that will cover. So there's types of antivenoms that are called polyvalent. So they'll cover more than one species. So
Okay.
what we do is we try and gather the polyvalents that'll cover the most species and space it out so that we're keeping the least amount of products that'll cover the most amount of these snakes that have been encountered in the U.S. And that's how we do it. And we've got it down to about 16 products that we can cover essentially 98% of all the snakes that have ever been seen in the U.S. as far as exotic bites. The problem is these are rare events, so especially with the exotics. So you're looking at replacing this product when it expires. So again, that's why I say we try and be fiscally responsible in what we're keeping, how much, and so forth. It takes some time to get these drugs. We have to import these from different countries, as I said, Africa, Thailand. It'll take a month to get those drugs.
A month?
To get them cleared. By the time we start the process, get the funds to them, get the product shipped here, it clears customs. It takes a while, so we have to keep a close eye on our stocking and make sure that we have an available product that's in date. In order to get those drugs into the country, we have to have a permit that we have to get, and it's from the FDA. It's an investigational new drug, and we have to have one from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's an APHIS, it's an agricultural plant health inspection permit. So we have to maintain those 2 certifications to import these drugs also. So,
And how do they make these venom? Like I know I did something with Dr. Abel, and he said they get them from the Gila monster and different types of animals. And
Yeah.
how did they get the venom for
So
snakes?
what they'll do is they'll actually, if you've ever seen on any of the animal discovery shows where they milk the snakes, and they'll collect that venom from those species. They'll kind of freeze it, and then we actually have 3 labs up in Central Florida that sell to some of the manufacturers there, and we work with them pretty closely also. They've got a large collection of snakes. They'll sell that venom to a manufacturer. Now that manufacturer will take that product and they'll inject it into, say, a horse. The small amount that the horse won't get sick, they'll let that horse develop antibodies from it. Then they'll draw that serum out of that horse. They'll spin it down, separate out those antibodies, and they'll freeze dry them. They'll put it in a glass vial, and that's what they sell us. So when we get it, that's what we're doing. We're reconstituting that product, and that's what we're delivering to you is those antibodies. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people will have, say, an allergic reaction or anaphylactic reaction to antivenoms, because it is a horse serum, and it's very immunogenic, meaning people will have a reaction to it. So it's one of the things we have to monitor and that we do as part of our protocol.
So as far as the future of the program, I know we're kind of wrapping things up here, and thank you again for coming. Talk to me about the future of the program and its members.
Yeah, so what we've done, because it is kind of a cult type field of medicine, I should say, there's not a lot of interest. So we've got an outside agency that we bring in every year that does some venomous handling classes. I've had them at headquarters here every year for the last 3 years. And it's a weekend course. It's a Venom 1 handling class that kind of gets them oriented and gets them 16 hours worth of handling. I have some handlers, some owners in the county that a lot of times what I'll do is I'll give them one person that's interested and let them slowly clean their cages and gain their hours and their competence with handling these species to try and, again, keep the future of the program alive and keep my replacements available and trained as we go forward. So
I know we're kind of special here in Dade County. How many exotic pet owners do we have here in Dade County?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So I actually get a list from the FWC of all the exotic species owners. So that's like a class 1, class 2, class 3 wildlife permit. So it's like people that own panthers or alligators, and then we also get the venomous reptile license owners. And we try and get that list every year. I get it to my fire alarm office dispatchers, and they've actually embedded it into the CAD. So,
it comes up.
When you get a call, you may see it if you look in the notes that venomous reptile owner or class 1 wildlife species owner. So just to alert our crews as you're going to these homes that, hey, there may be a venomous species or a large animal that could be dangerous to us. So just be cautious. There's about 400 though venomous reptile licenses in the state of Florida. So
wow.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, appreciate the time to sit down with us and talk to us about something that I'm not comfortable with and I haven't come across, but it's definitely good to know. And like, how would they reach you guys?
Yeah. So as I said, right now we have ABC shift covered. A lot of times, if we're off on training or on vacation or stuff, we're not backfilled. So if you call the Venom number, which is 786-229-0736, it will get forwarded to the fire alarm dispatch. If you say need us, even for, hey, can you identify this, or what should I do with this call, whether it be any animal call, snake, whatever it should be, if you tell the fire alarm dispatch, hey, I need to speak with one of the Venom officers, one of us takes responsibility to answer the calls when we're not in service. So one of us will get back to you and at least try and help you out with it. So I get pictures of snakes all the time. So people just trying to ask me can you help me identify this? This was in my backyard, or this is, in my house. So, but we're glad to help.
All right. Appreciate the time coming by. And that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for coming by and watching, and stay tuned for the next episode.
Thank you.